Welcome, everyone. I'm Mike Mirshahzadeh.
And I'm Ashley Ward.
And you're listening to the What Matters podcast, and our mission
to spotlight top RIAs, wealth managers, and investment professionals who are redefining wealth management.
Join us as we dive into their journeys, strategies, and insights.
Whether you're an investor or an inspiring pro, this is for you.
Get ready for impactful conversations on the What Matters podcast. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the What Matters podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mirshahzadeh.
And I'm Ashley Ward.
Today, we're honored to welcome a very special guest, John Black, with the CEO of J. Black Financial Group, originally from, I'd like to say, rural Missouri, if I'm correct there. And John grew up immersed in a world of entrepreneurship, thanks to his father, who ran a small business and farm. That early exposure sparked a lifelong passion for finance.
John went to study economics at Boston College, and like many advisors, started as a solo practitioner. Today, he leads a growing team of 8 with plans to expand over spice. I'm going to mark the clip there because I stumbled over my words. John went to study economics at Boston College, and like many advisors, started out as a solo practitioner. Today, he leads a growing team of 8 individuals with plans to expand to over 60 by 2040. His firm specializes in liquidity event planning, helping clients navigate the financial and emotional complexities of major financial transitions like business sales, stock options, or inheritance.
John's personal story also brings a deep sense of purpose to his work. After tragically losing his wife, Susan, to colon cancer at the age of 49, he became very compassionate and resource for widows and widowers facing their own life transitions. John, I want to say we're truly grateful to have you with us today, and welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
John, it's already such a pleasure to have you on. I know we've had some side conversations before we got going, so I'm excited to just jump right in and hear your inspiring story and everything you're doing over there at J. Black. So, John, you started at Boston College. Can you share a bit about your journey? What led you into the financial services industry? And we'll start there, but then ultimately, what led you to, J. Black Financial Group right now and where it's at today?
Sure. So I'm originally from a small town in Missouri, about halfway in between Kansas City and Columbia. And my hometown, when I was there, about 2,500 people. My graduating class had 36. Of which 32 graduated, so that kind of tells you it's the bar was not set real high there. But had always had an interest in finances and money. And when I was a little kid, I would get money for birthday, holidays, etc. And instead of spending it, I'm very frugal. I would actually save it. And so I built up a bank account and decided that I wanted to go far away for college. I wanted to go to the East Coast. Wanted to go to a private school. I was a big Celtics fan back in the day. So, Larry Bird and Parrish and McHale and DJ and those guys.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. And funny story on that I'll tell you here in a second too. But so applied to BC and got in. I have no idea how or why, but I think they were looking for geographic diversity. And I got in, sight unseen, accepted, and went. Was there 4 years, got my degree in economics. And so I thought that I wanted to be a portfolio manager. And so if you guys remember the name Peter Lynch, I would say kind of the first superstar fund manager. He managed Fidelity Magellan, and he was averaging like 25% annualized returns a year. I think it's my junior or senior year in college, he decides to retire, calls it quits. I had read One Up on Wall Street, and he talks about going to Boston College. So he was a BC alum. He retires and he comes to campus and he speaks. And so I go, I'd read the book, heard him speak. And I'm like, I want to be him. I want to do what he does. And so having gone to school in Boston, loved going to school there, but Midwestern guy. So Kansas City is an hour and a half from my hometown, moved to Kansas City, decided to interview to be a portfolio manager. So I met with American Century, and I go meet with them. I go, I want to be a portfolio manager, and they go, well, you have a better chance of playing for the Royals because we get those guys and gals from Wall Street. I'm like, oh, I don't. Okay, that doesn't sound very good. And they said, but you can start off on the call desk from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Just like everyone else who starts here. And I'm like, I'm good. So then I said, well, I have a degree in economics. I'll be an economist. And so I interviewed at the Federal Reserve and the Midwest Research Institute. And they said, well, we only hire PhDs. And I'm like, well, I don't have one of those. So I'll go somewhere else. So then interviewed at the Wires, and the Wires are like, well, do you have to have your licenses? And, you don't have any licenses. I'm like, nope. So just kind of stumbled into this business and just found somebody who said, yeah, we'll hire you. And you can get licensed, and joined a different firm out of college, was there for a couple of years, realized that from a cultural standpoint, wasn't really what I was looking for. Looked everywhere, searched high and low. And then back in, 31 years ago, started my own firm and joined our current platform partner. But I do have to tell you a quick funny story. So my hometown now is about 1,800 people. So it's a dying small town. It's sad. Love going back there. Love going to the farm and all of that. But there is a NBA player who is from my hometown, Joe Klein, and so you gotta kind of go back. But Joe Klein's from my hometown. Grew up like 2 blocks away. Used to mow her yard. So I know him, not well, but I know him. And my was it freshman year? Freshman year, he gets traded from the Sacramento Kings to the Boston Celtics for Danny Ainge. And I hear about this. I'm like, oh my gosh, Joe just got traded to the Celtics. And, I'm running up and down the halls and like, hey, this is awesome. And I'm like, hey, anybody want to go to a game? And they're like, you don't know this guy. Nobody believed me. So I called Joe, and Joe said, yeah, I got two tickets for you. Come on down, Will Call. This is back in the olden days. You go to Will Call. And we get the 2 tickets. We're sitting a few rows behind the bench with all the wives and girlfriends, with their fur coats and all this kind of cool stuff. And one guy said, I'll go. I'll take a flyer. So we go. We come back, and then I've got like 80 buddies in my dorm room, like, let's go. I'm like, nope. So anyway, so I got to see some amazing Celtics game back in the old Garden, again, with Bird and all of that because of Joe. But anyway, so
that's really cool. I'll tell you this: if you're a Celtics fan, you have to watch that show with John C. Reilly called Winning Time. Yeah. If you haven't watched it, it's a great show.
But yeah, I started it. I need to finish it. I know there's a Celtics one that came out.
Yeah.
Is it Dynasty or something?
Season 2 is more about the Celtics than Lakers. So
okay, I'll have to watch that. So that's how I got into the business. Just kind of quasi fell into it. It wasn't necessarily what I thought I would do, but I'm glad that I did.
Oh, thank you. Let me ask you this. In reading up about what you guys are looking to do, what you're looking to do with your firm there, you had said that you want to get to I believe it was around 60 advisors by 2040. If you don't mind me asking, I know that you guys are at around you said 8 total on your team now. Tell us how you've accelerated your growth and what you guys have grown your AUM up to and how that transition took place from start to where you're at right now.
Yeah. So like a lot of advisors, you start off as a solo advisor. And then our platform partner, really we focused on insurance. So it was kind of the old school 1031, get not lots of names, and I get paid in 2 ways. And, I'd have lists and, put the list down in front of people and be like, hey, I'm going to reach out to these people. Who do you know? And kind of coax names and, quasi referrals and all of that. So that's how I cut my teeth. And it's rough. It's incredibly rough. Cut my teeth that way. Then we brought on the investment arm, wealth management arm, financial planning arm. And so we've really morphed and grown from that, because just mentally, the way my brain works is we would rather have fewer, deeper relationships with clients and have a bigger impact with fewer clients versus a transactional business. I'm not a transactional type person. And so just churning and going fast to sell stuff and make a commission and move on is not really my mindset. So we really want to be the client's trusted advisor and have, again, those deep relationships. So wealth management, financial planning, fee-based financial planning is really much more of how we do things and really kind of how my brain works. And so there's a few transitions that have happened along the way. Getting the broker dealer affiliation would be the first thing that we did. And then another thing that I did was I put together a study group of peers that are on our ecosystem. And, we would get together like once a quarter. It's less, really post-COVID, it's a lot less. But we would get together. I put this together. We had like 8 advisors. It's a national study group from California to New York to Seattle to Omaha, Kansas, and Chicago, all over the place, Boston, and so I was the only one like in the group who didn't have my CFP, and so they were busting my chops about getting my CFP, and this is years and years and years ago. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that. And then the second thing was to do fee-based planning. They're like, you got to do fee-based planning. They were all doing it. And I'm like, all right. So I did that. So that was a big turning point right there and a mind shift. We also had a huge mind shift to where we had a client, a partner, Big Four accounting firm, retires. We do very comprehensive and extensive planning. We didn't charge because we didn't charge fees at that point. And we probably put in easily 20 hours of work. And we get done with it, and I'm just assuming that we do all this work, we show him everything, he retires and says, okay, I'm retiring in March, we're going to roll off everything over to you. He goes, he didn't. He closes the book, and he says, thank you very much. Now I have the book, now I'm just going to do all this myself. I'm like, well, but wait, so at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to give away our intellectual capital ever again. And so we charge fees to do plans, not every single time and not every single person, but all new prospects and introductions and referrals, we always do if they want to do a plan. So that was a big mind shift as well.
Wow. And let me ask you this, out of the 8 that are there right now, how many total advisors do you guys have right now?
So that's something that we've got to work on. I am really the only advisor, the only one bringing in any business. And we have one, we kind of say advisor in training, been with us a couple years, graduated college 2 years ago, and another one who's going to join us here in 2 months. And I mentor personal and financial planning students at Kansas State University. And they've got one of the top 20 PFP programs in the country. And so we're pretty involved there. I mentor students, and ideally we'll mentor them, their junior year, they'll intern for us, and then hopefully we'll convert them to joining the team. And so the one that's on our team now, the next one who's going to join us here in July, I mentored both of them. They intern for us, and so they're going to be advisors in training. And so we've got a career development path, for them. But as far as actually giving advice, meeting with clients, it's me. And so me and 7 folks, who don't. So we've got to work on that.
And where do you see your practice going in the next 3 to 5 years? You mentioned, wanting to grow over 60 employees by 2040. What's the more short-term goal over there at J Black?
Yeah, so the goal is to double every 4 to 5 years. And so, just kind of doing some some easy math. 8 times 2 is 16, is 32 is 64, right? And so that's roughly the 15 years. So that is the 15 years that we're talking about. And so looking at our path, and this is just me as the only advisor, going back to like 2000, like literally I've got the data going back to 2000. We've grown at about 13% a year, has been our growth, just me.
Yeah.
And so if we can get some multiplier effects, and maybe another advisor within our ecosystem, or 2 or 3 who retires and we acquire their books. And so, from all of that, the target is we'll have 5 or 6 advisors who are also all working with A+ and A's. And so you get that multiplier effect. I think, we could be light, really kind of on our target. And our goal from an AUM perspective is by 2040 to be at 3 billion is what we're shooting for.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic that you've grown it this much just yourself. And so finding these new advisors, what do you really look for when you're looking for a new advisor to bring onto your team?
Yeah. Interesting. So we just added a new person, but they're on the investment operations side. And we have a new operations manager. And this was her first hire. So she joined us in December, her first hire. It's interesting because she came from the corporate world, not financial at all. Corporate world. So really to have a fresh perspective is really, really eye-opening. And the corporate world being on 24/7, having those quarterly earnings estimates and all that stuff is a whole different ballgame than what we do. And so the team will interview everyone. I'll interview, and then our operations manager will interview. And, it kind of gets down to, I'm like, well, what do you think about this person? They're like, well, yeah, they could do this or they'd be okay. I'm like, we're not doing okay. Like, they've got to wow you. And she's like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, they've got to wow you. Like, you've got to get, when you interview this person, you've got to get butterflies. And so you get butterflies, then that's what we're looking for. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means exactly. But we had interviewed a recent college grad, and on paper was like complete rock star, and had won this and won that and won this and did this and everything. And we interviewed them, and they're like, on paper, this is like the best hire that we could get. And then I interviewed them, and I'm like, I get it, but like just doesn't have that wow factor. And so there's a lot of attributes that we have actually put together, as a team. And coachability is one thing. Being humble, being hungry, being gritty. That's a big thing that we talk a lot about. Wanting to learn and wanting to put forth the effort. And so, effort, hustle, all of that. I use a lot of sports analogies. Love sports, and I used to play. And so really the goal is to hire, good, solid, quality, intelligent people and train them, actually overtrain them, and then get out of their way. And, we have a philosophy that the best ideas come from people, not titles. And so we had a great example of this. We had a meeting last year. We were talking about our interns, and 2 of our newer folks, and they are 23 and 24 years old, and they're running our internship program.
Oh, wow.
And we meet with them because they're in it, like they get it. And we meet and we talk about our new intern for the summer. And I said, I'd like to have, ideally we have 2 at like 10 to 15 hours a week or something like that. I don't really know. I haven't committed to the time frame, but basically kind of 2 part-time versus 1, say 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week or whatever. Because the more people who we get exposure to, the more at bats, the better chance we'll get to pick and choose the best one, so to speak. And the advisor in training basically had mentioned, he goes, we'll do what you want to do. He said, but my experience is that if you want to get a really good one, they're looking for more hours. And the firms that we are competing against in our backyard are hiring those people 20, 30 hours. So you're going to get kind of the leftovers if you do two at 10 or 15 hours a week versus one at 20 or 30 hours a week. And I'm like, you're in it? I got it. We'll do what you say. And so, here I am, the old man. But I admit, I know what I don't know, and I'm totally comfortable admitting that. And like, if you've got the best idea, then let's go. Because I'm not in the weeds.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I totally agree. I wish we could have the internship program, but Ashley and I have been working together for the better part of the last decade. And Ashley's had a history of hazing interns. And due to the new age millennials out there, right? I haven't been able to put any interns underneath her to protect myself. Joking aside, about 50% joking aside. But what I wanted to ask you there is, when you guys are adding these individuals to your team, and I think what I've noticed in regards to being in the same position as you, and looking for that young talent, I always look to see and ask, what sports they played and, what their, what type of, I like sports accomplishments like yourself, more over degrees, right? Because, they got to be competitive. But I could tell you, having hired, I call them an any role in sales juniors, from about 1998 and, through now, the change in the dynamics, back, almost through 2007, 2008, individuals would, start working for you and they would stay for 5, 6, 7 plus years. Right. And, it seemed as the tide turned and I had in my next junior program, individuals would stay until they got licensed and then look for the next best opportunity. How have you been able to protect yourself against that? And, and I'm talking about a different industry, of course, but I'm talking about the mindset of, what goes on in, today's youth and whatnot. What have you done to kind of make this a long-term decision and strategy in keeping these individuals around, and especially after they graduate college?
Yeah. So really the game plan is culture. And so we focus a lot on culture, and, we have fun, but we get after it. And so one of my sayings is, play hard, but work harder. It's kind of the reverse of, work hard, play hard. This is, play hard, but work harder. And so we joke, we laugh, we do a lot of team stuff, a lot of team bonding. As a matter of fact, here in a couple of weeks, I'm having the team over to my house, and we have we kind of celebrate our fiscal year, which is ending the end of this month. And they'll come over. I put on a new 3 Seasons room on the house, and I have an outdoor kitchen, and I have a wood-fired pizza oven.
Oh, really cool.
Is handmade from a village in Portugal that they've done it for 400 years, and it's badass. Cool. So it's so fun. And so I have the team over, and I'm going to cook pizzas for them, and I'm going to take care of them. They take care of me. And so this is my way to take care of them. I take care of them in other ways too. I'm just saying this is a fun way for me to, give back and show appreciation. So we do things like that. We'll go to a Royals game as a team. And then we have like holiday parties. And then we have another thing that we'll do like once a month is we'll come up with, it's like a guessing game. So guess JB's favorite song right now. And they get, 3 guesses. And if they get it right, they get to take off early on Friday. And then, we also, we all work remotely on Friday. And so when COVID hit, we all stayed home, obviously, like the rest of the world. And, I got everybody, the rising desks and, and did all that stuff, got everybody printers, all that kind of good stuff. And I started to kind of start going crazy. And I'm like, I'm kind of done with this. And so we had a few false starts about going back in. And at the time, some of the folks liked staying home. I'm like, well, I know you like staying home because I'm not sure you're doing your work. Of course you like,
Right.
but going to the grocery store at 2 PM when I'm trying to get in touch with you, or at the gym because I can hear you. You're on the treadmill right now or something. But from that perspective, they're like, well, how do you think we ought to do this? And I'm like, well, I think we need to come back in. But so basically we compromised. I said, all right, we'll do 4 days in and Fridays from home. And so we still do that, but we do come in, every few Fridays as kind of some one-off. So we try to make it fun, and it's really about building culture and setting expectations. So that's something else that we haven't always done a great job of, to be honest with you, in the past, is setting expectations and be very clear about those, and then giving them the path, their career development paths, and really focusing on the trajectory and what my goal is, and we can talk more about it, but the whole 2040 thing is that's when, I'm planning my exit. And at that point, I want to sell internally, to the team. So I don't really want to sell to an advisor within our, the ecosystem, because that's what most advisors do. And, it's pretty disruptive for the team, because when they have 2 marketing folks or 3 marketing folks, they don't need mine. And, or, the office folks, so, they're looking for jobs after I get paid. Like, that's pretty crappy to leave them unemployed when they've been with me for, 10, 15, 20 years or whatever. So I want to take care of the team. And it's also very disruptive for the clients too, because now they have a new advisor they don't know from Adam. And that advisor might have different philosophy about, different strategies and tools and how they approach things and, all of that. Like, I don't want that to be disruptive for our clients. So really trying to build an enduring firm that's going to continue beyond me to just provide that continuity of planning. And so that's what the overall objective is. And so talking more and more to the team about that and what that looks like as well. So that's really the game plan, because there is a lot of competition, a lot. And, the competition in our backyard, these are major, major players, and they've got deeper pockets. And so if you want to be one of 5,000, go for it. If you want to be one of 8 or 16 or 20 and potentially have ownership, then, that's, and I think also our planning approach, and, we bring tremendous value, to our clients. And I know all advisors say that, but we actually demonstrate it and we show that to the clients, and the team sees it. And so they realize, the value that we bring. And, they've got buddies and friends with other firms who aren't doing that. It's more cookie cutter, boilerplate, everybody's 60-40. Kind of the old, the Model T joke. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. I feel like our industry is kind of full of just scale, 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 and we are boutique. So we are a boutique firm that works with clients individually on their unique situations versus cookie cutter.
Yeah. Very cool. Let me ask you this: in regards to growing your team, have you ever, wanted to hire advisors outside of your ecosystem, or are you planning to train advisors and grassroots everybody from the ground up there?
Yeah, really good question. So we have a philosophy, to use another sports analogy. So we're trying to build the team from the draft, and then also some free agents. And so we have a recruiter that we've engaged with who looks for everything, but then also our team looks for things. We have a recruiting bonus. So we have a bonus if someone refers somebody in and they join our team. And then also our office manager, she's looking on a regular basis as well, and she'll probably focus even more and more on that. But yeah, we've looked at outside advisors as well. And that's a tough one. If you're already, you've already been in the business for, 10 years, 15 years, or whatever it is, you kind of already have some habits. And so kind of breaking those habits, or some preconceived notions or ideas or planning philosophies and, thoughts it's a little tougher. And so we've not been great at doing that, but we're not going to give up on doing that.
Yeah. And oftentimes I could tell you, it's kind of like hitting a golden vein. You hire somebody that ends up doing well at your firm, and then they start referring individuals, and before you know it, it's a be careful what you wish for thing, right? Being in this industry, gosh, we've seen so many individuals, within a time period of 12 to 18 months, their firms look completely different. So. I think that's great that you're keeping your options open there.
Yeah, and something else that we've kicked around a little bit is merging with, other advisors, on our platform. We haven't really done that. That seems to be a pretty popular thing. The problem there is that's not what I'm trying to build. I'm not looking to just get big to get big. So our growth is very intentional. We want to do it our way, grow our way, and not just add, AUM and just grow out of control, or go buy a bunch of books that don't align with, who we are and what our philosophy is. And I see that happen all the time. And, it's a good way to grow AUM, but it's like, I'm not just trying to make money. I'm trying to impact our clients, and I'm trying to build a business that, is sustainable, and it's within the guardrails of what our philosophies are.
Right. And, for someone just starting out, we'll say in the industry today, what advice would you give them? Or you could say yourself back, 31 years ago.
Yeah. It's rough. Oh my gosh. It is rough. And, looking backwards, if I had to do it all over again, would I? I think, but I think so. I mean, if I would have seen, okay, I'm going to be where I am now, which clearly I saw, not to this level, but I mean, it's obviously very, very rough. But like two things I would say is, first of all, if you're going to get into this business, one of two things. You've got two routes, right? You can be a solo advisor, like I started off, 31 years ago. I think that is harder and harder and harder and harder to do. We've seen like the success rates, go way down on that as far as advisors who enter the business, solo advisor. The number of them that are still around in 5 years are a third of what they used to be, when I started. And so that's a tough go. But if you're going to do it, then I would say, do it, burn the bridges, just don't go back. You make a decision and you just stick with it and you just figure it out. And that's always been my mindset. I'm either stubborn or stupid or both. And so, but I'm gritty and I'm resilient, and I keep after it. And so that'd be the first thing. The second thing I would say, if you're not going to go the solo route, which is a rough gig, then, join a firm. We've already got this rocket ship built, and you don't have to, bang your head against, the wall for the next 10 years. Like, it's here, it's built. We've got the platform, just join our team, and here's the path. And, given if you meet these metrics, then, you can be a future owner, and you're going to get, where I am, 20 years faster and much higher probability versus, 3% making it. And that doesn't mean that you're successful. It just means you're around. So either solo route, don't give up, just keep plugging along and don't look at other opportunities, just go, or join another firm.
Well, thank you, John. I think that's kind of the perfect note to leave our audience off with today. Thank you again for joining the show with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We really appreciate you sharing your story, your wisdom, your honesty. It's truly a pleasure.
Thank you very, very much for having me.
And to all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the What Matters podcast. We'll be back next time with more conversations that help us all grow. Until then, stay curious and stay well. Thanks, everyone.